One of the main advantages of a digital console is obviously the ability to make complete setups and configurations for perhaps one band at a festival, store all of those settings, and then have a completely different setup for the next band that's getting up, or perhaps in a theatre show where you've got lots of different things happening between scenes. So on the Si Series console, what we can do is we can store an infinite number of what we call snapshots, which can then be stored as a cue list and recalled to make adjustments to the console. That cue list can then be stored as a show and offloaded onto a USB stick and be taken anywhere around the world and loaded up into another console, and have that console configured to be exactly how it was set up during the rehearsal in another part of the world. So let's have a look at how simple it is to make these cues and how easy it is to store them onto a USB stick as a show. So, assuming that these settings that I've made here, that's the settings that I want to store, all I do is in the cue control section, I press the store button. Then I can make some other adjustments, press the store button again, and do this a few times to create a number of cues, in this case 4 cues. And now we can see that we have 4 cues, unnamed snapshots in the cue list. Now normally you would just go in and rename those snapshots to be band number 1, band number 2, band number 3, etc. But for the purpose of the exercise, we'll just leave them as unnamed snapshots, and let's see what we can use them for. So now we can go back to the cue control section over here, and we have 2 other buttons here. This is one called recall and one called next. So if I recall the first snapshot, you'll see that the faders now move back to the first position that I stored. I can then recall the next cue, which is snapshot 2, snapshot 3, snapshot 4. So this is now reconfiguring the console each time I hit the next button. Okay, so in that example, which is a very simple example, you just saw the faders resetting themselves depending on which snapshot we recalled. But apart from just the faders, every single parameter on the console can be reset with each one of those cue recalls. So that could include changing any of the effects, the dynamics, the EQ, the pan positions, gain settings, any parameter on the console for each snapshot, which is a very creative tool.